welcome to the Gary Goff Show here on the campus of Tiffin University as we approach the final week of the regular season here for Tiffin University Football. I'm Russ Snyder, voice of the Dragons, alongside Head Coach Gary Goff. Coach, can you believe it's final week of the regular season this week?
I really can't. It seems like we reported at camp just yesterday, had the big kickoff luncheon at the Pioneer Mill, and time flies when you're having fun, that's for sure, but this season has just flown by.
Well, this week we pulled you out of the WTUD studios and brought you in here to the beautiful turf room here at the Heminger Center, and this is full 60-yard field here with full, you can do everything you could do on a normal practice field right here inside this facility, and it's offices upstairs. It's kind of fun to come down here and do the show down here.
Well, I tell you what, we spent a lot of time in here this week because we've had a lot of rain, high winds today, and it allows us to come in and have a good practice, and preparing for this weekend is very important to us, so we're very blessed to have this facility, that's for sure.
A couple Dragons over our shoulders participating in the National Football League these days, and both of them doing really good things this year.
Well, we got to get one more up there. We got to get Brandon Person up there.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
He's having a lot of fun over there at the Cardinals from what I hear.
Absolutely. All right, let's talk about last week's game. A tough 49-42 game. Dragons lose to Grand Valley State. Had to be incredibly entertaining for the fans in the stands. Had to be pretty stressful for you down there on the sideline, though, wasn't it?
Seems like every game this year has been very stressful. Everybody keeps telling me, God, what an entertaining game. It was a lot of fun to watch. I'm like, I'm not a fan, so I don't want yeah.
No doubt.
No, but we had our chances right there in that game. And, again, second week in a row, very proud of how hard our team played. And, we keep telling them if you continue to play that hard, you get a chance to win every football game that we play. So,
well, let's look back at the game against Grand Valley State. The Dragons got on the scoreboard first in the first quarter. A 20-yard pass from Antonio Pipkin to Charles Holland. Tomislav Derezic's kick was good. An 11-play, 75-yard drive in 5 minutes, 16 seconds. You can crack the scoreboard first.
Yeah, Charles Holland and Pipkin, they are on fire right now. Charles had 11 touchdowns seven touchdowns the last 2 weeks, and he's got a knack for the ball. He plays in the air very well, and he's kind of became Pipkin's go-to guy right now.
Yeah, well, the Dragons get the first score on the board. Grand Valley gets the next two, but the final score of the first quarter comes courtesy of the Dragons. Another touchdown pass. This time Pipkin finds Tony Shedd from 25 yards out. An 8-play, 70-yard drive that took 3:33 off the clock, and because of a missed extra point, the Dragons ended the first quarter with a 1-point lead.
Great throw and catch right there on those two. I think one of the reasons we're having success offensively right now is they want to put two people over Charles. It leaves Tony freed up, and if they want to put two people over both of them, it leaves Pedro and Santoro down the middle freed up, and then for our run game with Jerry Brown, so we're doing a pretty good job of sharing the wealth offensively, and right there, start that game. Couldn't start a better way for us by two of our playmakers, catching fade balls for a touchdown.
Well, you mentioned Jerry Brown. A young man ran the ball very hard last week, and I think he probably got pounded more in that game than he has in any game in his career.
He did. He's a tough young man.
He delivered some punishment too, though.
He is. He's running very hard right now. A very physical young man, and I tell you what, he's doing a phenomenal job in the pass pro as well. Well,
the start of the second quarter, Grand Valley comes out and gets a couple quick scores and takes a couple touchdown lead, but the Dragons battle right back. Another touchdown pass again to Charles Holland from Antonio Pipkin, 25 yards out. A 14-play, 79-yard drive. It took 6 minutes and 37 seconds. That was a fantastic drive.
Yeah, a great drive for us. Probably one of the better drives of the day. But, again, them two hooking up right there in the red zone. And they've worked very hard all summer and all camp and working on that throw behind right there. So, great throw and catch.
Then you get another touchdown right before the end of the half with I think it was 9 seconds left. An 8-yard pass. This time Antonio Pipkin finds running back Jordan Nobles, who gets in the end zone, and you go into the halftime down 28-34.
Yeah, they scored pretty fast right there, left a little time on the clock, and then they had a penalty that put us kind of in scoring position right there. And again, a great throw and catch, but we knew we could catch them in man coverage down there, and they were going to pressure us a little bit. So really had a screen play out of the backfield for fairly easy touchdown.
Well, the third quarter, both teams going to make their adjustments at half, come out in the third quarter, and the Dragons the only team to crack the scoreboard in the third quarter. A 9-yard touchdown pass from Antonio Pipkin to, guess who again, Mr. Charles Holland. Another real nice drive. 10 plays, 76 yards, and 3:47.
Yeah, we felt like we had the momentum right there. We came out, Conti Carrington got a interception right there when Grand Valley was driving their first turnover of the day, and kind of sparked the offense as well right there in the third quarter. So we drove down and took the lead, which at that time, I thought, hey, everything's going our way. We got a lot of momentum right now. If we could put another, 2 long drives and some more points on the board right there to start that fourth quarter, really liked our chances there.
Well, Grand Valley got the first 2 scores in the fourth quarter, but the Dragons battled back again and got it to within 7 points. when another touchdown pass, this time Pipkin found his running back, Mr. Jerry Brown. This drive, 16 plays. Is that the longest play amount of a scoring drive this year? If it's not, it's got to be up there.
It's close. I think we've had a 17 somewhere, but it's pretty close to that.
16 plays, 89 yards, and 358 ends up being the final score of the game as the Dragons fall, as we say, in a entertaining one for the fans, not so much for the coaches, 49-42 to Grand Valley State.
Yeah, another heartbreaker, but again, the guys are fighting. They're fighting hard, and when you look at the season, you start this point of the year, you start reflecting on the season a little bit, and I know we got a big game this weekend down in Columbus, but the games a year ago that we won, we barely won. The games that we lost a year ago, we got blown out by the better teams in the conference. And this year, we're making strides. The games we won pretty big and handily, and the games we've lost this year, we just missed opportunities here or there to have some big upsets right there. But for us to play two top-ranked teams, all the way down the wire like that, it speaks volumes to these young men and the coaching staff how hard they're working. So very proud of them.
I second that as well, Coach. It's been fantastic sitting in the press box watching these games. As you said, everything has been just great competitive football all year long. It's been a pleasure to sit there in the press box and watch it. But you look at this past game, you guys get 30 first downs. 15 to 22 on third down efficiency. Is that about the number you're looking for? I'm sure we
would love that.
22, but 15 to 22 is not too bad.
Oh, I would take that every day of the week. I mean, that's probably one of our best of the season right there. So, anytime you can convert third downs. I mean, if you think about the game of football, it's obviously the takeaways, turnovers, it's red zone scoring, and it's third downs, plain and simple. So, very happy with the offensive production right there on the third down.
Well, the third down efficiency is what allowed you to gain such a huge advantage in possession time, almost a full quarter. Over Grand Valley in that football game. And Antonio Pipkin, he just continues to climb up the charts, not only at Tiffin University and in the conference, but also in the country. He had 460 passing yards last week.
Yeah, need a little more out of him.
A little more.
No, he's had a great season, and I've said this a million times before. I know that, but he's still got room for improvement, and that's the scary part. He's getting better with every game. He's seeing the field better. He's becoming a pocket passer for us, and then he's very dangerous with his legs, obviously. So excited to have him for another season. Excited to watch him play again this week, and the entire team to play again this weekend because I expect great things out of him.
It's easy to talk about the offense because they're the ones putting the points on the board. But you mentioned Carrington Conti getting that interception. Talk about the defensive progression from the early start of the year to where we are now.
Well, we've had a lot of turnover in the secondary. If you think about it, we've had a lot of injuries, and we always say it's no excuse. We don't care. Next man up. And Conti has really stepped up the last 3 or 4 weeks, and he's another young man that's getting better with every rep. He's starting to understand, zone coverage a little bit, better. Some of the formations that teams throw at us, and he's got a knack for the football. Even last spring, I bet he had 9 or 10 interceptions last spring. So he's one of those ball hogs, just finds a way. And then on the back end, you got Stephon Willis, who he's getting better with every rep. Trey Scott, he's been a staple at corner for us. But we played a lot of young men right there. And then Juan Nelson. Nelson has only started probably the last 5 games maybe, and he was not even in the rotation at the start of the season. That young man's going to be a great player in this conference. I can promise you that because he'll hit you, and he's getting better in coverage as well.
He flies to the football. He's always up there towards the top of the leaderboard in tackles every week since he's got a lot of time to get on the playing field.
And he loves playing the game.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very emotional. He is flying around, and that's what's exciting. I mean, he plays with a lot of emotion.
All right, let's talk about this week's matchup, Coach. Final game of the season on the road against an Ohio Dominican team. The preseason, a lot of people had them in the top 5 of the country. Some injuries, changed things a little bit, but you look at their schedule: 7-3, a couple 3-point losses to Ashland and Grand Valley. Ferris State got them by a couple touchdowns, but they're coming in a 3-game winning streak. They've won 6 out of the last 7, and it speaks to their depth that they've had these injuries that a lot of people are very familiar with, but they're still winning football games.
They are. They find a way to get it done. Coach Conley and his staff's done a great job down there. They really have. They're sitting right there in the hotbed of recruiting in Columbus, so they're going to have depth. They always will. And they have had a lot of injuries. I think they got 3 preseason All-Americans that are injured and haven't played, and that does have an impact. However, they're sitting there at 7-3. They're almost identical statistically as we are, and they're finding ways to win. They really are. Their quarterback's getting better with every rep. Their defensive line, where they suffered a few injuries, I think is really good. They are. And even though it might be some of those guys' first time playing, they're got one freshman he's got a motor and he plays extremely hard. Their safety is a really, really good player.
Brad McCurdy kid.
He's going to be an all-conference player without a doubt. And then they got a couple of corners that are the young guys, but they're they're good football players. They're a good program, and they expect to win. We know that, and they're used to winning. So, we're going to have our hands full Saturday without a doubt. But, we got to go down there and play our game and play extremely hard. And if we do that, I think we'll be okay. But it's going to be a war. We know.
We're looking forward to it. It's a 1 o'clock kickoff on Saturday down at Ohio Dominican. Grant Russell, the sophomore quarterback you spoke of, comes in the game 18 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions on the season. Their running back, who's getting the majority of the carries, Daryl Johnson, comes in with 642 yards. That young man's finding the end zone. He's got 13 touchdowns.
Well, one of the things that ODU's always done is they've had a quarterback that manages the game. Mm-hmm. He's not going to hurt them. He's going to make very smart decisions. And for this young man, this first year start, and he's doing a really good job. And showing he got hurt, I believe, early in the season, and again they just plug in another running back right there. That's a good football player. So. Like I said, Coach Conley's staff do a great job, and they're sound. They're not going to make many mistakes. So again, we got to go down there and force them to make a few mistakes.
Well, their wide receiver, Des Stewart's one of those guys that people are talking about Charles Holland the same way. Like, he's still here. He hasn't graduated yet. The young man's been productive for them for quite a long time.
Yeah, Des has been a threat. Des has put fear in a lot of people's hearts. For a long time it seems like. So he's a good football player. I think he's got 7 touchdowns on the year. Last weekend he had another game where he had at least 2 scores. So they try to get him the football. We know that. We're gonna have to be ready for that, and and make some plays, because that young man is a very athletic receiver. He makes a lot of plays, but don't let him fool you. The young man they line up on the other side of the field is a very good player as well.
This might be the game matching the 2 best kickers possibly in the country, with Wally, who's been a 3-time all-conference player for the Dragons, and Tomislav coming into this game. Both those two know each other, know what they're capable of, and maybe this game could come down to which one of those young men is just better than the other.
It might. Wally has gotten all the records, I think, for quite some time. But Tomislav right now leads him in the nation right now. So you're right. They're the number 1, number 2 kickers in the nation. And Tomislav's had a phenomenal season for us.
Has.
I hope we only have to use him for extra points Saturday. But, he's been very consistent with his field goals. And I think he has scored 91 points on the year so far. So, both of them are great. So, I know both teams, as soon as they, maybe stall right outside the red zone, it's almost guaranteed 3 points.
Well, we mentioned the kicking matchup, which is going to be fantastic. We talked about their defensive secondary creating turnovers. We talked about turnovers in third down. They've created 20 turnovers, 13 interceptions out of their secondary this year. So, kicking game, defense, turnovers, line play. Kind of sounds very familiar, doesn't it?
I say this all the time as well. The recipe to win a football game does not change.
Nope.
So Saturday's not going to be any different. It's supposed to be a nice day. Weather's supposed to be nice, but you got to win the turnover battle. And you also got to win the rushing battle. Whichever team is rushing the ball effectively is going to have the upper hand in the game for many reasons. And then, you always need your playmakers to make plays. If your best players aren't making plays, then you're probably not going to have a very good opportunity to win that game. So, we got to get some turnovers and protect the football, and like I said, play Tiffin football.
Week 11. Can you believe that already? The Dragons on the road to take on the Ohio Dominican Panthers. It's a 1 o'clock start. You can catch all the action at WTUD, TUDragonradio.com, as well as on the radio at 100.9 Coast Country WMJK. Then, Coach, we'll get together next week and maybe do a little recap, talk about the season, talk about what's got coming up here in the offseason, and really start getting people excited about the 2016 campaign.
Yeah, we'll hit the road recruiting right after that and go from there. But yeah, maybe next week we'll have the seniors, their last hoorah. We'll have them on the show or whatnot and have some fun with those guys. But
awesome. Sounds great. He's Coach Gary Goff. I'm Russ Snyder. The Dragons and the Panthers this Saturday. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Gary Goff Show here on the Tiffin University Dragon Network.